What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the Premier League SPUR-SPECTIVE, where it's the review show of Predict the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. The scores at the moment is 157 to Simeon, 160 to me. Very close at the moment, and the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result on the star man as well. Once you pick that man, you can't pick them again, and it's 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And let's get straight into it with the West London derby, Fulham against Chelsea, which was last Thursday night. Finished 2-1 to Fulham on the night. Sim went for 2-1 to Chelsea. I went for 1-0 to Fulham, so I get a point on the board for this one. It was a really good game of football, to be fair. João Felix making his debut for Chelsea, and I thought, you know, you got the best and the worst from João Felix in this game, didn't you? I thought he was really good in terms of the way he played his football, but a really stupid action, and he got sent off, showing that straight red, and he's out for 3 games, and probably the most expensive 3 games Chelsea have had, to be honest. And look, Willian scoring against his former club. I thought Fulham played really well with Bernd Leno really pulling out all the stops to stop Chelsea, where Chelsea probably should have got more out of the game.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the red card, they probably would have won. The momentum was swinging back in their favour after Koulibaly's equaliser just after half-time. Fulham had a good first half and probably deservedly took the lead through Willian, and they were doing well. But João Felix was really striking his stuff. It was really hard to deal with João Felix, and it must have been so frustrating for Chelsea, the fact that they were on top, they had just equalised, and then he gets sent off, and ultimately, I'm down to 10 men. Kepa makes a mistake. Carlos Vinicius scoring the winner, former Spurs. And so Fulham end up taking the victory. But yeah, look, Chelsea have played another game since then.
Carlos Vinicius has scored more goals this season than Richarlison.
Wow, he should be going to the world.
Mental. Anyway, let's move on to Villa against Leeds, which finished 2-1 to Villa on the day. Sim went for 3-2, so he gets a point, and I went for 2-1 to Villa, so a big 5-pointer coming my way for this one. And yeah, I didn't see too much of this game because I was out on Friday night, but I heard Villa were good for the 3 points.
I don't think so. I think Leeds were very unlucky.
Oh,
Leeds
really?
really should have got something out of this game. It's another game. I don't know whether it's a bit like when Spurs early in the season were winning all those games and people were saying it's unsustainable. And we're like, oh yeah, but once we start playing well, we're going to get really good results, when it never really happened. And it turned out it was unsustainable. I feel like with Villa, they took an early lead through Leon Bailey. Really great goal from him.
Really nice goal.
Yeah, really nice goal. Cut inside shot. I can't remember if it went 2-0 if they equalised. I think it went 2-0, didn't it?
It went 2-0. Patrick Bamford scored the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, but if you look at the chances created, I think it was 2-0 against the run of play in terms of when who scored? Buendia. Yeah, he scored. They scored against run of play, and Leeds were creating loads of chances. They missed some absolute sitters, in my opinion. Rodrigo had some chances. Bamford got the goal they deserved, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough for.
That's Emre ball, though, isn't it? Like sometimes they do get those goals against the run of play and just hold out for the wins.
Well, they've been doing that a few times.
That's like a hallmark of a Unai Emery team, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess, structurally, look, they're clearly better, and they're in a better place than under Gerrard. But I wouldn't and they're on a great run. I think since he took over, I don't know if apparently, I think only Arsenal got more points than them or something like that. So they're doing really well, but I would just wait, because I don't know how long these good results. I reckon there's a bad run coming up. Not right, maybe straight away, but I reckon in the second half of the season they'll go through like 5-6 games without a win or something.
Yeah, wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. All right. 158 to 166. Let's move on to the Manchester derby, which finished 2-1 to Manchester United. Sim went 2-2. I went 2-1 to Man City, so no points on the board for this one for either of us. Really bad first half of football, to be honest. I thought it was a bit of a dire game, and it kind of sprung into life with half an hour to go. Jack Grealish coming on and putting Man City ahead. And Man City weren't great at all in this game. I mean, they went 1-0 up, but both teams weren't really doing anything in the game. And then I think as soon as Man City went 1-0 up, Man United just started to come to the party. And in those last 10 minutes, Bruno Fernandes gets a goal. Whether you think it's allowed or not, it was allowed. And I think it was a bit of a disgrace of a decision to allow that goal to happen. But it is counted. Then a few minutes later, Rashford scores, and they win the game 2-1. And I think that probably say the result was deserved for Manchester United.
Yeah, I think they got a bit lucky, to be honest. I'm not saying they got a bit, they didn't deserve anything out of the game, but I think to win the game in the sense that they did there's a bit of luck. I think first half was fairly even. If anything, Man United were probably doing a bit better, but it was like, I think 0-0 was probably fair going into the half time. Yeah, 0-0 was fair going into half time. Second half, I really believe the goal was coming for City. They started opening up Man United, and for me, it wasn't a surprise when they took the lead. I thought it was a consequence of sustained pressure, and I thought that was deserved when Jack Grealish headed home. But Man United made a couple of changes and it really swung it back in their favour.
Garnacho,
he came on the left, really started to stretch Man City. They moved Bruno from out wide into the centre as well. I don't know why they keep playing him out wide. I don't like him in that position, but they did start him there. He moved into the central position where he's more comfortable, in my opinion, and he started to really get involved in the game. But obviously, I think the goal kind of came out of the blue a bit, the offside goal, and I can't believe it was given, to be honest. On first viewing, I was thinking, he didn't touch the ball, and maybe he let it run. It was clever play from Rashford to kind of leave it for Bruno to score. But if you look at the replay, like there's a point in the play where he literally has possession of the ball and he's like faking a shot, and then he's like dummying it, and he's like almost did a step over, and it's like, I know he didn't touch it, but he has possession of the ball, and that very much affects Akanji, because I think if Rashford's not there, Akanji can get it. I think it affects Ederson, because I think if Rashford's not there, Ederson can get it. So I can't believe they decided that he wasn't interfering at all in play.
There was one moment in the thing where it looks like Rashford is lining up for a shot, and then Bruno just comes out of nowhere and takes the shot. I mean, how can you allow that goal?
I can't believe they decided he was interfering, because he was very much interfering with play. And people saying, it's the rules, but I think the rules are it should be ruled out. I've read the rule, and according to the rule, if you're interfering with play, if you interfere with what an opposition player can do, I think he prevents two Man City players getting the ball with his presence. And he's literally shielding the ball. He literally has it in his possession at one point. So I don't see how he's not, how he isn't interfering with play. I think it's a terrible decision. And the annoying thing is, from that point of view as well, is that the linesman gave it offside. It wasn't actually VAR who overturned it. What happened was linesman gave it offside, and then the referee went over to the linesman and they had a discussion without VAR getting involved, and they decided that because Rashford didn't touch the ball, they're going to give the goal.
Don't understand. Why didn't the ref go and look at the monitor?
They should have, but what happened was, because Rashford didn't touch the ball, the VAR decided it wasn't a clear and obvious error, so they didn't tell him to go to the monitor, because they decided that they're going to stick with the on-field decision, which I think was wrong. I think they should have stuck with the original flag, which went up, and I think that would have been the correct decision. I don't think Man United get anything out of the game if it wasn't for that goal, in my opinion. But look, they got the goal, and then they turned it around, and Rashford got the winner. And to be fair, he's on a hot streak, isn't he? Rashford, he got another goal. It looked like he was going to go off at half-time because he had a bad injury. He stayed on, and he ended up getting the winner, and he was actually quite good in that second half. So fair play, Rashford. He's on fire at the moment.
He's absolutely on fire. And with that win, are Man United in the title race now?
Well, they're 1 point behind Man City. So if you're saying City are, then you've got to say Man United. And look, you've got to have to say as well, with Man United, they've got a quality squad. We all know they've got a lot of quality in their squad. It was all about just getting a manager who can get the most out of it. And maybe in Ten Hag, they might have it. I do think. I know they've got a good squad, but I do think once the Europa League comes back and they're in European football and they have to split their attention. I think I don't know if they have enough to keep on.
Well, it's actually coming back pretty soon, because they've got that next round that Arsenal are not in, and they got to play Barcelona.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have enough to be in a title, but right now they can dream for sure.
But I mean, why don't they have enough? I mean, they've got a much stronger squad in terms of personnel and numbers than Arsenal. Like Arsenal, with a few injuries, they are completely out on their knees. At least Man U have like options off the bench that are impacting stuff, like Garnacho and some other players as well.
Yeah, but Arsenal have been together for like, Arsenal's so consistent right now. I know United on a great run, but to do it the whole second half of the season, do they have it to like literally win like 15 games, in the second half of the season now of 19? I don't know. I don't think they do.
I don't know. They're going really well at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. I think personally they are in the title race. I really believe that. And then I don't know, Man City are just not looking great at the moment.
I think by March they won't be in it.
You reckon?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go for they will be in it by March. So we'll see what happens. Let's move on to Brighton against Liverpool, which finished 3-0 to Brighton at the Amex. Another battering for Brighton against Liverpool. Both of us going for draws 1-1 and 2-2. But it was a Brighton battering without Trossard in the squad. Solly March with an unbelievable performance with 2 goals and an assist. And Danny Welbeck with a lovely goal as well. So Brighton with another battering of Liverpool.
Yeah, what's going on with Solly March at the moment? He's scoring goals for fun. I can't believe it. He used to be a wing back, which was he was like a frustrating wing back who lacked quality, and all of a sudden, De Zerbi's like turned him into this goal scoring winger. I can't believe it. I was looking at his fantasy points. Apparently, he's got like in the last 3 weeks, he's got like over 40 points. Or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brighton are carving teams open at the moment, especially the big teams. I think big teams like Chelsea and Liverpool coming to Brighton thinking that that they can just go for the win and leave themselves open. But Brighton under De Zerbi are very quick attacking a team who play very quick football, who are beating teams like Liverpool's press when it's not on 100%. And right now, Liverpool's press is far from 100%. You can see that their midfield is leggy. The striking options, Gakpo obviously is very new, hasn't settled in yet. Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's been out of it for a while. Salah is carrying the can, but he's 30 years of age. He can't do it all by himself anymore, and it's worrying times for Liverpool right now in terms of their aging squad. It seems like the squad is coming to a bit of an end, and they need a bit of a refresh. And I think Klopp admitted that as well in his post-match press conference. But you got to give credit to De Zerbi and Brighton. They're playing such great football right now, taking big teams to the sword. And also one player I really like in the lookout is Matoma. I think on the left-hand side,
what a player.
Is looking at. I mean, we're interested in Trossard right now. We might be looking at the wrong guy, because I think this guy Matoma has got a big future right now in the.
He's
Premier
not that
League.
young though, Matoma, is he?
Is that 24? I think.
Is he? I thought he was like 27.
No, he's not that old, is he?
He 25. He's 25.
Oh.
I mean, I'd love Matoma. I've been talking about him since I first saw him break into the Brighton side. I mean, he's been brilliant. Even last season when he was
in the World Cup as well.
Yeah, but even last season when he was only getting a bit part role under Potter, he was coming on for the last 10 minutes and just changing games. I mean, this guy is a top talent. He really is. I'd love to see him at Spurs. I really would.
Ragged. He's running players ragged. He's a bit of an old school winger, to be honest, with the way he plays, left-footed on the left-hand side, but he's quite two-footed as well, and he's got great pace and he's got great intelligence. He once he wrote a dissertation about dribbling. Did you hear about?
Did he?
This? Yeah. He when he was younger, when he was at uni, he did a dissertation about dribbling, and he stuck a GoPro to his chest and he filmed himself in hundreds of scenarios beating players, and
so funny.
and he discussed how different movements to beat different players, and that's why he's so good at dribbling.
He is top talent. I love watching him play. I really do, and I have for a while now. I'm glad to see he's getting all the props that he deserves at the moment. But let's move on. Everton against Southampton, 2-1 to Southampton on the day. Both of us went for 2-1 to Southampton, so 5 points for both of us. Everton go 1-0 up in this game, and with all the fans' anger around the game, apparently Ken Wright and the Everton board were told to stay away from this game for their own safety. Big protests were happening throughout the day, and Everton go 1-0 up, and you're thinking, maybe the team are pulling through for their fan base today, but James Ward-Prowse does it again. 2 goals in the second half. One brilliant free kick once again, and another really good goal. And Southampton win the game in this massive game right down at the bottom. And James Ward-Prowse is on some firing form at the moment.
Yeah, Nathan Jones, he's got him scoring goals every week at the moment, either free, and most of the time free kicks, but he's been brilliant. But talking about Everton, they're in big trouble, the whole club. Massive relegation battle. There's big disgruntlement in the fan base. There was a sit-in after the game. I don't know if you saw the pictures, but I don't know how long they were in there for, but they refused to leave the stadium after the game, after the loss. Obviously,
how many fans stayed in?
Thousands. Yeah, it was quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite a lot. There were obviously empty. There were fans that left, but I'm not sure if I wouldn't say it was a majority, but at least like half, I would say, was there. Or at least of one stand anyway. I don't know if I saw a sit-in.
Yeah. Imagine 30,000 fans, half of our fan base just sitting in the ground after the game. They'll probably end up singing Sol Gamble chants.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, whatever. But look, big win for Southampton, who Nathan Jones getting his first win. You saw how much it meant to him after the game. He was really exuberant with the away fans and stuff. It was a big win for Southampton, who have really been struggling under the new manager, and it was very important for him to get the win. And now they're level on points with Everton and only 1 point behind Bournemouth in 17th. So straddling in the bottom for so many weeks, Southampton, and yet one win, and all of a sudden safety's in sight. That's how tight it is at the bottom.
There's what, 2 points from the bottom till 15th or something?
There's 2 between 14th and the bottom.
It's mad.
Yeah, it's so close. And 13th is Nottingham Forest as well, who could easily be dragged into it, but we'll talk about them in a sec. But when it comes to Everton, I mean, how much longer can Lampard last? He's not. I mean, 1 draw in the last 5 games with 4 losses. I mean, another losing at home to the bottom of the league as well after being 1-0 up. And from what I saw of the game as well, it didn't seem like Everton were particularly great in the game. I mean, I understand Everton's squad isn't great. I understand that, but if you is it that bad that could they be doing better with a different manager, a more experienced manager in this kind of fight?
The thing is, it's a really hard situation because it's a very fractured club at the moment. The fans are not on board, the owners are terrible, the signings that they're making are absolutely terrible, the squad is awful, and yeah, another manager could probably get them just about to save the drop, but I don't know really if another manager can change things there. It's a poison chalice, that job at the moment. It really is, and I think they probably need someone to come in like Sean Dyche, Sam Allardyce, that kind of manager that can really come in and save them from the drop, because they should not be where they are, Everton. They should not be where they are, and these owners have really put them in the shit, and they're struggling with FFP, so they can't even make too many signings, even if they wanted to. They sold their best player to us last season. I don't know where they're going. I think they're going to the Championship.
At the moment, did you see the scenes?
Never been relegated.
You see the scenes after this game with Yerry Mina getting confronted by fans and Anthony Gordon. I thought that one was really strange, the Anthony Gordon one. It's like they've really turned on him. I remember
they've turned on everyone.
But I remember when there was a tweet the other day, like Spurs linked to Gordon, and I saw some Everton fans commenting like, "Oh, I'll drive him there myself" and stuff like that. And that's such a difference, like in the summer, to when they were so desperate for him to stay. And now all of a sudden they're chasing him out the ground, and they're doing roadblocks, and they're and blocking him from leaving, and they're shouting to get him in the car and stuff like that. This is a young academy graduate, who's doing his best. And I thought that one was really strange.
I think Everton fans should be focusing on what the main issues are, and that's Mashiri and Kenwright and the board, because they have done the club a disservice. A club like Everton should not be where they are.
Going after Gordon, I mean, but I'm saying that undercuts their whole message when they do stuff like that, like going after academy graduate, like that really dilutes, and it makes them look silly and embarrassing, to be honest, when they do that. When they're focusing on where it should be, where the problem is, like where at board level and stuff like that, that's okay. But like when you're going after like a young 21-year-old academy graduate who's trying his best, who clearly loves Everton, it's very strange.
It is very strange. But let's move on. Nottingham Forest against Leicester, 2-0 to Forest at the City Ground. Sim went for 1-0, so he gets a point on board. I went for 1-1. But Forest keep rolling, still without a loss at home since September against Fulham, I think it was. Brennan Johnson back in the goals in this game, and Morgan Gibbs-White with 2 assists. And you know what? I've been so impressed with Morgan Gibbs-White this season. I think, especially of late, starting to really perform for Nottingham Forest, and maybe Wolves starting to regret letting him go.
Yeah, Forest starting to get their act together after a really tough first half of the season. They're now 1 loss in the last 5 games, 3 wins in that as well. They're got, as you say, haven't lost a home game since September. They're 13th. They're going strong, and all of a sudden they're 5 points behind 11th. They're looking up rather than down. I know they're still you have to still consider them in the relegation fight just because of they're probably capable of going on a losing run.
Above Leeds?
They're above Leeds 3 points. It's very close. They're only 5 points above 18th. So it's still quite tight relegation, but they're doing really well. I always had the feeling that you have to give this team time. So many signings to get together. It was always going to take a lot of time for them to gel, and they're starting to do that now. You're seeing the inklings of that. They're starting to be very solid. Aurier, I have to say, I was seeing a bit of the game. He was again really, really good. But it's Brendan Johnson starting to acclimatise to the Premier League. I think you can see that now. He's starting to get regular goals. Morgan Gibbs-White is starting to as well have a major impact, and I think Steve Cooper starting starting to get it right now in Nottingham Forest, and fair play to them. They're going strong, and they're above Leicester now. Leicester are 4 losses in a row after a strong showing just before the World Cup. They've really reverted back to the beginning of the season after the World Cup, and he's not sure. Like, he's tried Daka, he can't get the goals. He's put Vardy back in. Vardy, I think, is too old now. Without Maddison. Without Maddison, they're lit. I think they might be the biggest one-man team in the Premier League right now with Maddison, because every time he's not on the pitch, they don't score. They get battered, and it's showing at the moment. They're really not a threat without him. I don't know where the goals are coming from.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And you saw how good they were before the World Cup. They started to really perform well. Maddison was central to everything. All of it, yeah. And now, since he's been injured, I think they've lost every game since coming back.
Four games since what they've had since World Cup. They've lost all of them without only scoring. They scored 1 goal at Anfield. Other than that, they haven't scored. So worrying times for Leicester. And you got to say that they thought they'd pulled away from the relegation before the World Cup. They're definitely dragged into it now. Only 2 points. 2 points clear of West Ham.
Yeah. And let's talk about West Ham now, because they travelled away to Wolves, 1-0 to Wolves at Molineux. Sim went for 2-1 to Wolves. I went for 1-1, so Simeon gains a point for this one. And West Ham have got to be starting to get really worried, their fans. I mean, this was a massive game that they needed to get points in if they want to, climb up that table. And now they're sitting in that bottom 3. Daniel Podence getting on the score sheet again, and West Ham lose the game 1-0.
Yeah, and I didn't see much of this game. I think from what I saw, Wolves deserved the victory from the highlights and stuff like that. Ruben Neves, I saw, hit the bar, and they had a few chances on the counter-attack. But West Ham, they just seem to be in that stage right now where they're trying to be hard to beat and trying to be solid, and it's worked for them under Moyes. But at the moment, the problem is when they keep conceding the first goal and they keep going down, they have to keep switching it up and trying to come back, and it's not really working for them. And it's not so easy to just turn it on and start creating chances like that when you're built your whole team around just being very solid and being very hard to beat, rather than building it around chance creation and getting the full flair players involved. And they do have those players. Paqueta, Fornals, Benrahma. I mean, Scamacca didn't start this game, but Scamacca, Bowen as well. Bowen has dropped off a cliff, this season, his form. I don't know how many goals he scored, but he's really suffering right now. But they've got a good attack. They just can't get them involved. And it seems as though every game is they're either going to win 1-0 or it's going to be like a 1-0 loss for West Ham, and it must be very hard to take. They should know. Looking at their squad, they should be nowhere near a relegation battle.
2 games, 2 goals this season, Bowen.
They're one of the teams who I'm looking at in that fight for relegation. I'm like, they should be nowhere near it with their team. They've got a really good, solid team, like Rice in there as well.
Europa League finalist last season.
Semi-finalist. And yeah, and that's also got to be a bit of concern that they're still in the Conference League this season, and they don't want to chuck that because European football is massive for West Ham, but they might have to if they're not clear of relegation by the time it comes round.
Yeah, I think. I think kind of Moyes made a mistake in this summer, trying to switch up the philosophy of the football club, because they don't really know what they want to be at the moment. Sometimes they set up the team like in an attacking way, and try just do something they're just not. And I think it's hurting them at the moment, and you're seeing that in the league position. I think Moyes is trying to get back to basics now, but I think they're still confused as a football club, because I think they were training all this way one way to try and change up the philosophy of the football club, and I think that just came at the wrong time. And I think that you should just stick back to basics, do what you're good at, and I don't think they would be in this situation.
12 losses in 19. That's shocking.
It is shocking.
Really shocking for West Ham.
It is shocking. All right, let's go on.
Next game is Everton, it says. Bloody hell.
Oh, really? Wow. What a game that's going to be.
I saw someone called it the El Shitico.
Yeah. Brentford against Bournemouth. 2-0 to Brentford at the Brentford Community Stadium. And we both predicted 2-0 as well. So another 5-pointer for both of us. And Brentford keep rolling on. Bournemouth have not scored since the World Cup has finished, and they're in a really bad situation. Bournemouth, they're kind of just like sleepwalking to the bottom of the league at the moment.
Again, 4 losses in a row. I said it was a mistake hiring Gary O'Neill, despite some initial good form, but I think If they persist with him, they're going down, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to stay up. I know they had some good results, but even before the World Cup, you can see it start to go wrong. And then they had one win just before the World Cup, and it kind of was like convinced them, okay, we're going to stick with O'Neill. But I think that was the wrong decision. They should have switched it up. They didn't. They're now committed to him for the rest of the season at the moment, anyway. And I think I just don't think they're good enough with him in charge. And I do think they're going to get relegated unless they maybe hire a Sean Dyche or something and someone more with a bit more experienced. In the relegation dogfight.
I think even if they do that, I don't think they're going to be safe. Their squad is too bad, man.
I think that gives themselves a better chance.
Of course.
So I think, yeah.
They've got a championship squad there. That's just the reality of it. And Scott Parker, he said all of this. He said he was calling out the board, calling out this, calling out that, got sacked. Gary O'Neill came in and had a good first run. They ultimately gave him the job off the back of that. But it seems as now Scott Parker, everything he was saying was completely spot on.
Yeah, and they're 17th right now, but only 1 point above the relegation zone. I'm not going to be surprised if we're going to see them in relegation zone very soon.
And Tony with another goal. What season he's having?
Oh, unbelievable. Another penalty, though, but he's got 100% record in the penalty.
9 in 9.
And look, they're going so strong. 8th, they're above Chelsea, above Liverpool. And anyone, including us, who said Eriksen was the difference maker last season, you have to say, they've clearly proved that wrong, and they're going so strong this season right now. Although to be fair, last season they also had a very good first half, and then they dropped off. They had a good start, and then they dropped off a bit before Eriksen came. So there probably will be a bit of a drop off. I can't see them keeping this form up for the second half of the season, but they're brilliant at the moment. I have to say, especially at home, they're so hard to beat. They got a way of playing under Thomas Frank, which everyone knows their role, and you have to say they're doing it to perfection right now. And it's all built around Ivan Toney as well. It's absolutely fantastic.
Really is. Moving on, Chelsea against Palace in another London derby. 1-0 to Chelsea. Sim went for 2-0. He gets a point. I went for 1-0. So 5 points comes my way for this one. And to be honest, I didn't see too much of the game because it was North London derby day. But it says here Kepa got man of the match. And I don't know did you see his shithousery in that game?
Because he was punching the ball
it's
back.
How can you not get booked for that?
Did he not?
I don't know if he did.
I don't know, but yeah, I saw it. I did see the clip after the game of him. The fans.
No, he didn't get booked.
The fans were throwing the ball back at him, and he was just punching it back into the crowd.
I was like, ridiculous. How do you not get booked for that?
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
It happened 2 or 3 times. It kept coming. He just kept punching it back to them. So, I was just like, come on,
what
man.
You're saying, as much as it was a 1-0 win for Chelsea, Havertz scored, but it wasn't so convincing. If Kepa got man of the match, it couldn't have been that convincing.
Yeah, they had Palace had 10 shots, 5 on target. Chelsea had 15 shots, 5 on target. But Chelsea did dominate the possession. I mean, it looked like a pretty even game, to be honest.
So yeah, but Chelsea obviously been in bad form. They needed that win. But I guess let's talk about they announced the signing at half time in this game.
Mudryk, yeah.
And Mudryk, 100 million euros. I was actually listening to the Shakhtar CEO today. Apparently he didn't say that Arsenal bid lower than Chelsea. Said the bids were exactly the same. He just said Chelsea's structure was a lot better.
Yeah, but I also heard that the wages were much more from Chelsea. Chelsea are paying him something like 200 grand a week. Arsenal wanted to pay him 50, 60.
Yeah, which is probably makes more sense considering he's played 30 games in the Ukrainian league.
Yeah.
It's a mad. I mean, look, this guy clearly is talented, no doubt about it. I've seen him. I watched games of him in the Champions League.
He looks dynamite.
Season. He looks brilliant, but he's coming from. He's only played 30 games in the Ukrainian league. He's got 12. He's got 12 goals and assists this season, which is good. But it's not like he's scoring and assisting for fun and stuff like that in the Ukrainian league. And also, you got to remember the Champions League. As much as it's great and he's looking good, every team who comes up against Shakhtar are attacking them, and they're looking to win the game, and they think Shakhtar are minnows and stuff like that. So they're showing their. That's what the defence are doing. They're pushing up and trying to win the game. So Mudryk in all these Champions League games, there's so much space to play in, and all the goals I'm seeing him scoring, it's usually a transition on the counter attack where he's played into space. He's got mad pace and he's got good finishing ability. But we'll see. Look. It's a big gamble spending 100 million, especially in a position where they've got Felix now. I know it's only for 6 months, but with a view of potentially getting him permanently in the summer, they're pretty stacked in that position. I
don't even think it's too much of a gamble for Chelsea, though. Like they've got so
100
much money,
million.
they're shitting out so much money, they're
100 million
signing.
euros.
Then it'll be a massive gamble for us because we don't spend money, but because of the way they're spending at the moment, they've spent what 500 million or something since the start of the season, since the summer. I mean, it means nothing to them signing these players for 100 million. I think it's a good signing for them. I think if it was anyone else in the league, apart from Chelsea or Man City, it would be a massive gamble. But because of the way that they're spending, I don't think it's even a drop in the water for them.
I think 100 million on a player that's played 30 Ukrainian league games is a gamble. I don't think. I know. Doesn't matter how much money you spend. When you spend that kind of money for that kind of player, has to be considered a gamble because if he flops, they're not even going to get a quarter of that money for him. So I mean, it's a big outlay. I know whether they care or not, it's still a gamble.
Yeah.
They're not gambling with their future and finances, but it's a gamble in terms of the transfer market, like how if he's going to do well or not. I think that's so much pressure on him, but it's just crazy how much twerking he was doing for Arsenal on social media. Then as soon as he gets 200 grand a week from Chelsea, he's posting Hazard scoring against Arsenal on social media and stuff like that. Is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But we'll see how he does. I mean, it was a bit of a crazy saga in the end, but ends up Chelsea stealing him away from Arsenal. We'll see how he does.
Do you think he's going to work in the Premier League? How do you think he's going to do?
It's impossible to say right now. Clearly he's talented and good. I don't think he's going to hit the ground running. I can't see it because I think he's used to something different playing for Shakhtar. When he comes to Chelsea, it's going to be very different in terms of how much space he's going to get. He's going to have to use his close control a lot more. He's going to have to use his upper body strength a lot more. For Shakhtar in the Champions League, he was just usually using his pace and finishing, and he was doing great. But he's going to have to get used to it in the Premier League, and I reckon it might take a bit of time. But once he acclimatizes, maybe he might turn good. But it's a gamble. It's a big gamble.
I genuinely think this guy's going to be a star. I really think he's going to be a star in the Premier League. But look, we'll have to see how it plays out. Look, 100 million is a big price tag to have over your head, and we see a lot of players that go for that money sometimes don't do the business because of how much pressure that they do have. But I just got a feeling that this guy's going to be a star. Every time I've seen him play, I've just been so impressed with him. But it's still only a small bite size to go on. So we'll see how it goes. But I genuinely believe he's going to be a really big player for Chelsea. And I think he's going to hit the ground running as well. So we'll see. I think he'll make his debut in the next game. You say he's got a clause in his contract that he has to play.
No, not a clause, but apparently he was told, but whereas when he had chats with Arsenal, he was told, look, you're going to be battling with Martinelli and that's it. And apparently when he had chats with Chelsea, they told him, look, you're going to be starting. You're going to be we're signing you to be a star straight away. You're going straight in the team. But I don't think it's a clause in his contract.
Right. All right. Let's move on to Newcastle against Fulham. 1-0 to Newcastle with Isaac getting the winner in the latter stages. Sim went 2-0, I went 2-1, so we both get a point on board here. And another penalty miss for Mitrovic this season. He touched it twice, that's why it was disallowed. But Newcastle, credit to them, another clean sheet. Only 11 goals conceded this season for Newcastle. I think Trippier getting man of the match again. And what a season they're having. I mean, their defensive stats this season is just blown everyone out of the water.
Yeah, they're absolutely brilliant. They're so solid at the back. It's incredible how Eddie Howe has them playing, and it's like he has them playing so aggressive and so progressive as well. Yet they're so solid at the back. They're so hard to score against. You saw the trouble Arsenal had scoring against them when they played them at the Emirates. And I don't know how he's developed this. A back four. I mean, a back four of Byrne, Shah, Botman and Trippier. I mean, it's a very good back four, but you wouldn't expect these kind of numbers from that kind of back four. You would have thought they'd have struggled more, but Eddie Howe was doing such a massive job, and you got to add Nick Pope into that as well. Fair play to him. Newcastle was so consistent. The only trouble is that, it looked like for a long time they weren't going to win this game, but they did find that moment. They got a Callum Wilson and Isaac linking up, and they have the option now. If they want to go two up top, change it up a bit. They've been playing one up top, 4-3-3 for a lot of the season. and they have with Isaac back fit, they now have options if they want to go to a 4-4-2 or something like that. They can do it. So they've got a bit of flexibility, and I think, with no European football, I'm sure they're going to make a signing or two this January as well. They're starting to look nailed on for top 4 right now. Like I don't see how they don't, with how consistent they've been. The only thing that can hold them back is if they get too many draws at the moment. But the defense is so solid. I guess the question is, will Almiron keep up that form? Will the goals dry out? But at the moment, they're looking nailed on.
Yeah, they are looking nailed on. And on the other side of the Fulham, how Fulham are doing this season, they're super impressive as well. I know they lost this game 1-0, but the way they're playing their football, I really like the manager, and I'm liking the look of how he set them up and how they're playing, because they're not too defensive. They go for teams. I know they didn't have a shot on target in this game, but you're talking about going up against the best defence in the Premier League at home. I think Fulham are doing really well this season.
Yeah, and unlucky Mitrovic slipped. The ball hit his standing foot. It did go in, but rightly disallowed. And fair, look, they were just on the back of 4 wins on the trot, and they did lose it, but they only lost 1-0 and in last minute as well. So they're going so strong as well. And you've got to say as well, they've been fairly consistently solid as well now, Fulham. So they'll feel like they're in a battle for top 6.
How many points are they behind us?
They're 2 points behind us.
We're playing them next.
We have a game in hand. We are playing them on a Monday, yeah. On Craven Cottage.
So if we lose to Man City, that's a massive game.
Yeah.
Because it's no easy game going to Craven Cottage. There's no gimme game there. If we lose, we're out of the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Anyway, let's move on to Arsenal, to Tottenham against Arsenal. Sim went 2-1 to Spurs. I went 3-2 to Spurs. It finished 2-0 to Arsenal. I mean, we did too much covering of this game, more than I would have liked to have yesterday. So I think we could move swiftly on from this game.
That's a game that happened.
Yeah, it happened. And let's move over to the Star Men. Sim went for Mason Mount in a double game week.
Got robbed of an assist. Robbed.
A cross came in and it hit the post. He actually shot and it hit the post and it came out, and Chelsea scored from it. And then in the next game, he did absolutely nothing. And I said I had a plan this week, and it came through. James Ward-Prowse at the double. So I get 10 points for this game. Sim gets nothing for his star man. And we finish with 20 points, 172 to 192. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, I was 12 points ahead. Now you're 20 points ahead. It's mad swings.
You were 12 points ahead, yeah.
Or maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I thought I was 12 points ahead.
You were, and then I was, and now you're 12.
Oh, you mean like in the middle of a game week you were 12 points ahead? Because it ended up only like 3 points in it.
No, there was one, because there was 1 week I did really well, I think when Nunes scored or something. No, there was 1 week I went 12 points ahead, yeah. I went 12 points ahead, and then you clawed it back. You went 3 points ahead just now, and then now you're 20 points ahead.
All right, fair enough. All right, and moving on, we've got some midweek predictions this week. Tomorrow night, we've got Crystal Palace against Manchester United at Selhurst Park. Both of us gone for Manchester United wins. I've gone for 2-0 to Man United. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Man United. And I think Man U are defending really well at the moment. Crystal Palace, I'm not really impressed with them, the way they're playing their football at the moment. I'm super impressed with Man United. So I've gone for quite a convincing Man United win with Rashford getting on the score sheet again.
Yeah, I think Palace, they've had a hard run recently. They've had us and they've had Chelsea last couple of games, and obviously 2 bad defeats. But by what it looks like, they had a better performance against Chelsea, and at home under the lights in an evening game, they'll look to turn it around. So I think they're going to be up for it, and I think they're going to want to maybe change some things in their team and maybe catch United off guard. So I do see them scoring. But I think Man United right now, they're too strong. They've got too many options in their front line to change things. And Rashford's on fire, so I just see them sneaking it 2-1.
Next up, Man City against Spurs Thursday night at the Etihad. Sim's gone for 2-1 to City. I've gone for 3-1 to City. I think this is probably the first week on Predict the Premier. We both predicted a Spurs loss. Or maybe the only week we predicted a Spurs loss, but on the back of that Arsenal game, it's hard not to. But to be honest, I wouldn't be totally surprised. It'll be so classic Spurs if we go up there and win on Thursday. Be so classic, lose to Arsenal and then hand them the title pretty much on Thursday night.
It's a lose-lose for Tottenham this game. It really is. I don't know what I want, but I think Man City will win. I don't think we're going to have enough to contain Haaland like Man United have done recently. And I think, I know they're not playing that well, so that's why I only went for a 2-1. I don't think Man City are going to blow us away, but I do think they're going to have enough to beat us, so 2-1.
Yeah, it's interesting with Haaland. 3 games now, no goals. 2 in the Premier League, came on in the Cup for the last half an hour as well. Teams seem like they're stifling him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about 3 games, no goals as a massive goal drought, you know, he's been scoring a lot of goals, but...
Well, people call a half an hour a goal drought for him.
I mean... Some people say City play better without him, but I don't think that's true. He didn't have a shot on target, to be fair, against Man United. They really did shackle him, but I have to have a bigger sample size before I start to say that he's gone off the board completely.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't score against Spurs, then that's definitely a key sign.
We've conceded more goals than Everton, you know that. How mad is that?
Good. Anyway, that is your predictions. That's your perspective. We'll be back with a Tottenham update a bit later. So we'll see you all then. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.